Chapter 1. Mr. and Mrs. Dursley are very normal people, and they're happy to say that. Mr. Dursley is the director of a firm. His firm's name is Grunnings, and it makes drills. He's a big fat man with a large mustache, but he doesn't have almost any neck. On the other hand, Mrs. Dursley is thin and blonde, and has a very long neck. They have a son. His name is Dudley. They think that he's the best boy in the world. The Dursleys have everything, but they also have a secret, and they don't want people to know it. Mrs. Potter is Mrs. Dursley's sister, but they didn't meet for many years. Mrs. Dursley doesn't like her sister because her sister and her stupid husband are so different from them. They know that the Potters have a small son, but they never saw him before. They don't want Dudley to meet a boy like that. When Mr. and Mrs. Dursley wake up on a cloudy Tuesday, they don't know that strange things are happening all over the country. At 8:30, Mr. Dursley gets into his car and goes to work. He sees the first strange thing when he's on the road. A cat is reading a map. A few minutes later, he sees another strange thing. There are many people with funny clothes. He thinks that it's some stupid new fashion. Mr. Dursley becomes angry because two of those people are not young. Those two are almost older than him, but they are wearing those stupid clothes. But soon Mr. Dursley forgets about those strange people. Mr. Dursley is sitting in his chair. Because he is not looking outside the window, he doesn't see that many owls are flying around during the day. But many people see it and are really surprised. Most of them never saw an owl in their life. During the lunchtime, he goes out and buys some cake. He already forgot about those strange people with the stupid clothes. When he is coming back to his office, he again sees those strange people. They're saying, "Potters, that's right, I heard that. Yes, their son Harry." Mr. Dursley stops right there. He's scared. He runs back to his office, picks up his phone, and then changes his mind at the end. He puts the receiver back and starts thinking. Potter is not an unusual name. He's sure that there are many people with the name Potter and they have a son with the name Harry. Now, he's not even sure that his nephew's name is Harry. He never saw the boy before. His name can be Harvey or Harold. There is no need to worry his wife. She always gets angry when someone says her sister's name. He understands her. If he has a sister like her, he will also get angry. He can't think of drills now. When he leaves his office at 5 o'clock, he's still worried, and he walks right into someone and pushes him down to the ground. "Sorry," he says to the small old man. Then he sees that old man is wearing a pink cloak. The old man is not angry. He smiles and says, "Don't be sorry, sir. I'm so happy today. You know who is dead. Even muggles like you should be happy now." The old man hugs Mr. Dursley and walks away. Mr. Dursley is surprised. A stranger just hugged him and he also called him a muggle or something. He's angry. He gets into his car and goes home. When he stops outside his house, he again sees that cat. He's sure that it's the same cat. "Shoo!" shouts Mr. Dursley loudly. The cat doesn't move. It just looks at him back. He doesn't understand it. Do all cats behave like this? He decides that he's not going to tell it to his wife. Mr. Dursley tries to act normally. After they have dinner, Mr. Dursley goes into the living room and watches the evening news. Today, owls are flying all over the country during the day. Owls hunt at night, and people rarely see them during the day. But today, since the sunrise, they were everywhere. "Experts cannot explain it," says the reporter. "Is it going to rain with owls tonight, Jim?" asks the reporter. I don't know about that, said the weatherman. Owls are not the only strange things today. Today's not a holiday, but people saw fireworks everywhere all day. I don't know why. Mr. Dursley can't move. Fireworks all over the Britain, owls during the day, strange people with funny clothes, and a whisper about potters. Mrs. Dursley comes into the living room with 2 cups of tea. Now he can't be quiet. He asks, "Did you hear anything about your sister lately?" Mrs. Dursley looks shocked and angry. They normally don't talk about her sister. No, she says angrily. Why? Funny things on the news, says Mr. Dursley. Owls, fireworks, and there were also a lot of strange people in the town today. So, says Mrs. Dursley angrily, I just thought that people are doing it, people similar to your sister. Mrs. Dursley drinks her tea and doesn't say anything. Mr. Dursley thinks of the name Potter, but doesn't say it. He is too afraid to say it. Instead, he asks, their son, he's around Dudley's age, right? I think so, says Mrs. Dursley angrily. What's his name again? Howard, isn't it? Harry, disgusting common name, in my opinion. Oh, yes, says Mr. Dursley. Now, he's almost depressed. I agree with you. He doesn't say another word about this again. They both go upstairs to their bedroom, and while Mrs. Dursley is in the bathroom, he looks out the window and again sees the cat. It's still standing there. The cat looks like it's waiting for something. He's more worried now. Mr. Dursley goes to sleep, but the cat is still standing outside. It's looking at the corner of Private Drive. Suddenly, a man appears there. He is a really strange man. He is tall, thin, and very old. He has very long hair and beard. He's also wearing glasses. His name is Albus Dumbledore. Nice to see you, Professor McGonagall, says Dumbledore. He smiles at the cat. Suddenly, the cat turns into a woman. She's also wearing glasses and a cloak. How did you know it was me? She asks. My dear Professor, I never saw a cat like you. You didn't move at all. If you stay here all day like me, you won't move either, says Professor McGonagall. All day? Why didn't you celebrate this great day? When I was coming here, I saw many parties. Oh, yes, I saw them, says Professor McGonagall angrily. There were fireworks and owls all around the country. Muggles saw it and it was on their news. They should be more careful. You can't blame them, says Dumbledore. We didn't have many things to celebrate in the last 11 years. Do you really think that you know who is dead, Dumbledore? I think so. If you know who is dead, my dear Professor, you should call him by his name. I don't like this you know who nonsense. I told people that they should call him by his real name for 11 years, Voldemort. Professor McGonagall is shocked when she hears the name, but Dumbledore doesn't see it. Dumbledore says, I don't understand it. People should call him Voldemort. There's no reason to be afraid. I know that you're not afraid, says Professor McGonagall, but you're different. Everyone knows that you know. All right. Voldemort was afraid of only you. Thanks. But Voldemort had powers, and I will never have those powers. Only because you're a good person. It's lucky that it's dark because I'm red right now, says Dumbledore. Did you hear people about Voldemort's death? What finally stopped him? She waited here all day because she wanted to know it. Now she is looking at Dumbledore. She is not going to believe anything until Dumbledore says something. But Dumbledore is saying nothing. Is it true? Voldemort went to Godric's Hollow to find Potters? Are Lily and James Potter both dead? Says Professor McGonagall. Dumbledore nods. Lily and James, I can't believe it. I didn't want to believe it, says Professor McGonagall. Dumbledore says nothing. Professor McGonagall says, that's not all. They're saying that he tried to kill their son Harry, but he couldn't. He couldn't kill the little boy. No one knows why or how, but they're saying that when he tried to kill Harry Potter, he lost his power and then he died. Dumbledore nods. Is it true? Asks Professor McGonagall. He killed all those people, but he couldn't kill a little boy? It's really strange. A lot of people tried to stop Voldemort, but they couldn't. How did Harry survive? We can only guess, says Dumbledore. We may never know. Professor McGonagall pulls out a handkerchief and wipes her eyes with it. Dumbledore takes a golden watch from his pocket and checks it. Then he says, Hagrid is late. I guess he told you that I was coming here? Yes, says Professor McGonagall. Why are we here? I guess you're not going to tell me. I came here to bring Harry to his aunt and uncle. They're his only family now. These people? Cries Professor McGonagall. They're so different from us. I saw their kid today. He's a really bad boy. It's the best place for Harry. His uncle and aunt will explain everything to him when he's older. I wrote them a letter, says Dumbledore. A letter? You can't explain everything in a small letter. These people won't understand it. Harry Potter will be famous, a legend. People may call this day as Harry Potter Day. Exactly, says Dumbledore. He will be famous before he can even walk. He won't even know why. It's not going to be good for him. Yes, now I understand you. But how will he come here, Dumbledore? Hagrid is bringing him. Did you trust Hagrid with him? Asks Professor McGonagall. I can trust Hagrid with my life, says Dumbledore. Yes, his heart is good, but he's careless, says Professor McGonagall. In that moment, a motorcycle comes down from the sky. The motorcycle is big, but a man in it is bigger. He has a small baby in his arms. Hagrid, says Dumbledore, finally you arrived. Where did you get that motorcycle? Borrowed it. Young Sirius Black gave it to me, says Hagrid. Were there any problems? Asks Dumbledore. No, sir. I took him out of the house before Muggles came. He fell asleep when we were flying over Bristol. Dumbledore and Professor McGonagall looks at the small boy. There's a cut on his forehead. It looks like a lightning. He will always have this scar on his forehead, says Dumbledore. Dumbledore takes Harry and walks towards Dursley's house. Could I say goodbye to him, sir? Asks Hagrid. He looks at Harry and kisses him. Then he starts crying loudly. Shh, says Professor McGonagall angrily. You will wake up Muggles. Sorry, says Hagrid while he's crying. Dumbledore carefully puts Harry in front of the door and puts the letter beside him. Then Dumbledore comes back. Hagrid starts his motorcycle and flies away. Dumbledore says, See you soon, Professor McGonagall, and goes away. Only Professor McGonagall stays there and watches little Harry for a few more minutes. Little Harry doesn't know that he's special and famous. He doesn't know that now a lot of people are drinking and saying to Harry Potter.